Good morning, everyone. So, we're going to talk a little bit more about characters. So, yesterday you got an introduction into characters, kind of reminding you about the different kind of conflicts that characters have, such as character versus self, character versus nature, character versus society. And we looked at antagonists, protagonists, just to kind of refresh you on some ideas about characters. Today, we're going to dig a little bit deeper and we're going to actually look at how we can examine and how we can really investigate a character. So we're going to take a look at what's called characterization. And characterization is, again, just to really understand that character, really digging in, looking at the character's traits. We can look at their motivations. We can also track how they change throughout the story using this strategy. So there are actually two kinds of characterization. The first is direct, and this is where the author is writing something specific. So if you look over there, it tells the reader directly, she was a cheery and always upbeat person. You don't have to read anything into that statement. The author is telling you directly, this is who they are. And so it's a very direct, you see it a lot in short stories that the author will tell you this, in longer stories, usually your secondary characters get some kind of direct characterization because they're not trying to develop something. They're just telling you directly so you don't have to read into the character. Broad sweep, you can summarize somebody's personality in a particular line. They useful for details, concise, so cheery person, always upbeat, and are easy to remember. Direct is the easiest one. You can point to it in the reading, and the author told me this about this character, so I know that. Indirect is the one where you have to do a little bit of work. It is inferring based on what the author is telling you that you have to uncover and discover what that character is like. So if you look at indirect, her lighthouse smile beckoned across the crowd. What does that tell you about the person? He's not telling you something directly. He's telling you through a showing how her smile is, well, what kind of person would have that kind of smile? You have to infer based on that. And when we do indirect, and we'll spend some time doing indirect, and we'll be looking at some stories, we really need to make sure that we're looking at a number of different things. And there's actually 5 pieces to indirect characterization. And our first is what a character looks like, how they dress, what their hair's like, how they hold themselves, like their posture, how are they standing, are their arms crossed, are they smiling, are they frowning, like is their hair a mess or is it well done? Like we can learn a lot about a character by what they look like. Yes, we shouldn't read a book by a cover, but ultimately we do make some judgments based on what someone looks like. So one of the things that we can tell what a person's like is based on how the author describes what they look like. We all know, I'll cover these here. These two, what the character thinks and what the character says. These are two very different things. And you know this in your real life, that what you're thinking in your head and what you say out loud might not be the same thing. So the same thing is happening with our characters in books. We look at what they think and what they say. What kind of person does that tell us? You know, if they're thinking horrible thoughts and saying nice things, that tells us that this person probably has some self-control and don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. If somebody's thinking horrible things and says horrible things, what does that tell you about this person? Maybe they're straightforward. Maybe they're not afraid to be disliked. Maybe they're just a dislikable character. So those are another 2 ways, thinking and saying. And then also tying into this, how they act. So what they think, what they say, and how they act could all be in line with each other, or they all could be something completely different. So they think it's bad, says a good thing, and then actually the action that they take is in a third direction that doesn't follow with the other 2, what they think or what they say. So we can learn a lot by a character and really thinking about, well, this is what they think, this is what they said, and then this is what they did in that situation can tell us a lot about what that person is. Are they brave? Are they strong? Are they scared? Are they weak? You know, we can learn a lot just from those 3 things. And then the last one actually is what other characters think and say about them. So you step outside and look at what the other characters are saying and thinking about them. And I do think you choose wisely, because if we think about Melody, and out of my mind, if you were to choose Claire and Molly, what they think and say about her would probably be a lot different than what Mrs. V says and thinks about Melody. So choosing those characters and really thinking about that, and then being able to look at these 5 elements allows us to get a really in-depth look at a character and really start trying to tell who they are and what they're about, and discovering really those character traits that might not be the ones that are on top of your head. We really dig in. We'll deal with more of this on Wednesday. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.